Freddie with Superbike Unlimited, and as some of you saw yesterday, we have some really exciting brake discs in here in Sicom, which are a carbon ceramic composite disc. And as promised, what I'm going to do today is basically just show you the weight differences. And first what we'll do is we'll start off with just showing you these discs and the weight and the units we'll be comparing them to. So this is the Sicom rear. These are all, by the way, for a Ducati V4, excuse me, the Sicom discs are. So this is our rear, obviously. This is a Braketech iron rear, and this is an SBU rotor. These are all these are both for Yamaha fitments. This is obviously Ducati. And then over here we have our Sicom fronts, which is in a 330. This is a Brembo T drive, which is a 320 for an R1. And then we have an Alpha Racing Evo disc, which is also 320 for a current generation S1000 RR. So obviously this isn't the best comparison because we're not comparing all Brembo, or excuse me, all Ducati V4 discs in 330. So, and obviously there's going to be a weight difference between a 320 and a 330 disc. So, you know, take this comparison with a grain of salt. If we were to compare these with actual 330 discs and especially OEs, there's going to be an even greater weight difference than what we're going to see today. But this is a good comparison and it'll definitely give you some reference. So let's get started. What we're also going to do is just kind of, one thing I want to check is the thickness of this disc. That'll give us a nice comparison there as well. So we're going to look and see what thickness we have on this thing. And that's 5.8. This Brembo disc is 5.49. So also the Sicom is a little bit thicker. Again, this is going to account for a bit of the weight. So, all right, let's start this off. So we'll begin with Brembo T drive. We have 3 pounds, 2.4 ounces. We'll just check that again. Yep, 3 pounds, 2.4. And then next we'll do our Alpha disc. I'm going to take this out of the packaging. And that is a 6mm disc. That's 3 pounds, 8 ounces, so right at 3.5 pounds. Realistically, that's probably going to be a lot closer to what an OE V4 disc would weigh. And so our Sicom disc is approximately 1 pound and 8 ounces. So this is just on the front. We're losing 2 pounds per disc over that Alpha Racing disc, which is amazing. I mean, that's comparable to putting a set of carbon wheels, or excuse me, a single carbon wheel on the front. All right, now we'll go to the rears. This is a Braketech iron rear. 1 pound, 7.7 ounces, so about 1.5 pounds. SBU rear, of course, these are super light because they don't have a lot of material. It's also not a floating disc, something to keep in mind. Just under 1 pound. Also just under 1 pound. So this one is 0.2 ounces lighter than our SBU disc, which, you know, that may surprise you that this is not lighter, but keep in mind again that this is a full floating disc with a vastly larger surface area for the pad swept area. So this is going to be a lot more powerful when it comes to braking. And also the weight on this is far more centralized. So if this were they make a version of this disc that's not floating. It's literally just a solid chunk of this carbon ceramic material. If you were to use that, obviously the weight would be substantially less because the disc material weighs much less than the carrier material, but just take that with a grain of salt. Also, it looks as though this may be a different diameter. That's something else. Yeah, I mean, you can see here, we're not necessarily comparing directly here. This is a 220 disc. This must be a 240. So that's another thing to keep in mind. This would be considerably lighter if it were the same OD as this, just as with these. So pretty awesome when you consider that realistically, you're probably losing about a pound out of the rear and then 4 out of the front. So about 5 pounds just in discs is pretty remarkable. And also considering the fact that you're going to make a substantial improvement in your braking performance as well. So expensive, but worth the investment perhaps.